Title: The Curse of Blood and Ash. Part 3. After the harrowing battle under the Wolf Moon, Hiroshi was left with a new sense of dread. The cryptic warning of the Alpha's last words haunted him. This land is bound to the blood of the wolf, and its cycle will continue until the spirit of the beast is laid to rest. There was only one way to break the curse, he knew, and it lay in discovering the origin of the wolf spirit that plagued their land. As the village began to rebuild, Hiroshi pored over ancient scrolls and consulted the village elders. Through whispered stories and faded writings, he pieced together the origins of the curse. Long ago, it was said, a great warrior named Tsukio had ruled these lands. He was a proud samurai, unmatched in skill and feared by all who opposed him. But he was arrogant, and one fateful night, he had slaughtered a clan of mountain-dwelling villagers, ignoring their desperate cries for mercy. In their final moments, the villagers had cursed Tsukio and his land, calling upon the spirit of the wolf to be their eternal protector. From that day, the spirit of the wolf took root in the land, giving rise to the werewolves who now haunted Kazumori with every full moon. Determined to end the curse, Hiroshi set out with Kaede and a handful of his bravest samurai. Their journey led them deep into the dark, ancient forest, beyond any place the villagers dared to go. After days of travel, they arrived at the ruins of the cursed village. The air felt heavy, thick with centuries of grief and rage. The moonlight filtered through twisted trees, casting ghostly shadows over the crumbling stones. As they entered the heart of the village, an eerie silence settled over them. In the center of the ruins, they found a moss-covered altar marked with ancient wolf carvings. Hiroshi felt a shiver run down his spine. This was the origin of the curse, the place where Tsukio's pride had given birth to an eternal darkness. Kaede stepped forward, her talisman glowing faintly in her hands. She began to chant, her voice echoing through the trees. The earth trembled, and a dense fog rolled in, swirling around them. From the mist emerged spectral figures, the restless spirits of the villagers Tsukio had wronged. Their eyes glowed with a feral intensity, each one bearing the mark of the wolf. One figure stepped forward, a tall, imposing spirit with a wolf-like mask and a torn, blood-stained robe. This was the spirit of Tsukio, twisted by centuries of guilt and anger, the source of the curse itself. "You come to end what I began," Tsukio's spirit intoned, his voice a blend of sorrow and fury. "But you, samurai, are no different from me. You wield swords with the same pride and arrogance that once led me to my doom." Hiroshi's resolve wavered, but he stepped forward, his hand resting on his sword. "I have come to make amends, not in arrogance, but with the hope of freeing my people. Tell me, Tsukio, what must be done to end this suffering?" Tsukio's spirit regarded him with hollow eyes before nodding solemnly. "The wolf spirit demands a life to pay for each it was denied. You must face me in a final duel, and in that battle, either I will be laid to rest, or you will join the ranks of the cursed." With that, the spirit of Tsukio raised a spectral sword, and Hiroshi drew his own. They circled each other in the dim light, the air charged with tension. Hiroshi knew this would be the most dangerous battle of his life, not just of skill, but of spirit. For if he fought with pride and hatred, he would become what Tsukio had once been. The duel began, their blades clashing in a whirlwind of steel and shadows. Tsukio fought with supernatural speed, his attacks fierce and unrelenting. Hiroshi struggled, his strength ebbing with each strike, as though the forest itself drained his will. Then he remembered Kaede, standing behind him, her voice filled with hope and faith. He focused on her presence, letting go of his fear and rage, fighting only with the intent to save his people. At last, Hiroshi found an opening and struck Tsukio with a precise blow to the heart. The spirit staggered, his form flickering as if ready to dissipate. Yet, he did not fall. Instead, Tsukio met Hiroshi's gaze, and for a moment his eyes softened. "You have defeated me, samurai," Tsukio murmured. "Your heart is pure where mine was tainted. The curse is lifted. For now." With those words, Tsukio's form dissolved, his spirit scattering like ashes on the wind. The fog lifted, and the ancient spirits faded, leaving only silence in the moonlit forest. Hiroshi and his warriors returned to Kazumori, their faces lined with exhaustion but their hearts lighter. The village was safe, the curse finally broken. Yet, Hiroshi knew that pride and vengeance would always have their place in the hearts of men. And while the wolf spirit was at rest, he knew that Kazumori would remain vigilant, lest the curse ever return to claim their land once more.